Good evening. My name is Brian Williamson. I'm a fire investigator here in Burrell, North Carolina. I've held this job for approximately 10 years, and I'm testifying on this case today as to whether or not this was considered to be an arson. Approximately 1100 hours on February 23rd, 2016, I was dispatched to 1234 Main Street for a residential structure fire. Upon arrival, I made contact with Lieutenant Dan Taylor in the area of the command post, who was the initial company officer arriving on scene, and he stated that fire blowing out both kitchen windows, that the fire had begun to spread throughout, or begun to spread, and was threatening to come out of the kitchen into the living room area. A good initial attack was provided, and the fire was subsequently extinguished, immediately taped and cordoned off until I was able to arrive. Seeing as that no one else had been inside since the fire was put out, and there was no possibility that any of the evidence could or was tampered with, I immediately spoke with the homeowner, who was quite frightened, quite distraught, quite concerned. She stated that she had been frying bacon on her stove when her phone rang, and she walked out as she answered the phone. Shortly after she finished her conversation, I guess 3 to 5 minutes worth of a conversation, she stated that she smelled and saw smoke coming from the kitchen, at which point she walked back into the kitchen and realized that the entire stovetop was on fire. The fire was climbing up the wall vertically behind the stove. And she said at that point she got out of the house and called 911. I made my initial external investigatory walk around, and I went counterclockwise, and I saw what appeared to me to be a well manicured and taken care of front lawn. The siding on the house looked good, the windows look good, the fence looks good. It's not run down, dilapidated, nasty, moldy, green, dirty, ugly. There's not a bunch of trash or anything piled up in the yard. It's a very well kept yard in a very well to do neighborhood. Two decent, I'd say, two decent vehicles, nothing run down, no jalopies. Entered the front door of the residence, and I began a clockwise investigatory sweep, which led me into the kitchen. And as you can see in my case report, the three main photographs that were taken are of the two of which of the stove. You have one here that shows a bigger area of the stove, and then this one that shows the back left hand side of the stove. It shows the intensity of the heat and the fire. You can also see the beginnings of a V-shaped pattern, which would be a good indication to us that that was the intense heat, or the where the intense heat was, and therefore could be the possible seat of the fire. And then the third photograph, which is this one here, which as you can see is the bottom of the frying pan that Ms. Williams said that she was cooking her bacon in on her stovetop. This frying pan, this fire got so hot that not only did it etch the pattern of the electric burner on the bottom of the frying pan, it burned a hole in the bottom of the frying pan, excuse me. It burned a hole in the bottom of the frying pan. That was a pretty hot fire. Bacon grease tends to get that hot. Based on my interviews with the first arriving company officers, Ms. Williams herself, based on what I was told that they saw, based on what I saw, photographs that I've taken, notes that I've made, I feel that this fire is unintentional, human negligence did play a part in this fire. She was frying bacon in a frying pan on top of a stove, and she left the kitchen to answer a phone call, leaving the frying bacon on top of the stove unattended. This led to the grease in the pan becoming so hot that it auto ignited, and as a result, the fire began to climb up the wall, the cabinets, and wherever else, and move its way out, mushroom its way out to spread through the kitchen and possibly into the rest of the house. I do not feel this was a malicious fire. There was no pour patterns, there was no drip patterns, there was nothing to indicate to me that any kind of an accelerant had been used to make the fire move in places that maybe it shouldn't have been moving, or to make the fire move, period. It just appeared to me that it was basically a case of dumb luck. Hey, I'm cooking bacon on the stove, I'm going to make breakfast, and oh, my phone rang, and I go answer my phone, and here I am burning my kitchen down. This is not an intentional fire or an incendiary fire by anything that I can tell. I hope this answers your questions, and please feel free if you have any other questions to direct them to me. Thank you.